Okay, so I think that we're good to go now. What's up, YouTube? You know the deal. If you can hear me and if you can see me okay, let me know and we'll go ahead and get started. I think we should be good though. Get a thumbs up or hey, how you doing? Okay, I think we're good. All right, people, I think we're good. Finally. Good God, man, YouTube has been acting crazy. People have been telling me they haven't been able to see my videos when they get posted. Some people, like people who subscribe, like with the notification bell and everything like that, they've been telling me they haven't been able to see when I post something, or like they don't get alerted, I should say, when I post something like they normally would. It's been kind of crazy. And Facebook, sweet baby Jesus, Facebook has been just, oh man, I can't even. It's really getting to the point where it's becoming Orwellian, to be totally honest with you. Like it's to the point where there are people talking about suing Facebook, and like not even like a few people. Like we think we can have a class action because obviously their actions are disproportionately affecting one group of people, and that group of people appears to be progressives. So but I want to thank you all so much for joining in. If you don't mind sharing this post, I would greatly appreciate it. Seems to me that there's been a lot of chatter recently about Russiagate and everything going on. I hope you watched my Syria video. If you did not watch the video on Syria, please do so. That is a very, very important video with a lot of things that literally you will not be able to find in the mainstream media, because the mainstream media absolutely refuse to report on it, which I believe has a lot to do with why my channel has been kind of on the fritz over the last couple of days. I tried to post my Syria video the first time. It actually would not let me post it. It kept saying, it literally said that the server would not accept it, which is like, how do you troubleshoot the server will not accept it? I don't even know how that, they didn't even give me a reason why the server wouldn't accept it. So, but I don't know how to troubleshoot the server wouldn't accept. So I just restarted my computer, tried it again. Didn't work the second time. I waited till the next, well, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I redid it again. And then it finally started working. So if you did not watch the Syria video, go ahead and do so. Laura said the bell was off again. I have to keep subbing on many channels and hitting the bell tons of times. It's not just progressives, trust me. It's anyone who doesn't. Yeah, I totally agree. Anyone who doesn't agree with them. You know why? And it's funny that you say that because I never have that issue with any of the sports channels that I follow at all whatsoever. Like ever. I've never had that issue with any of the sports channels I follow. Like anything that doesn't have to do with politics, never have that issue. Only the political channels do I have that issue. There are channels that like, political channels that I'm subscribed to that I just kind of like, you know, one day just like, what the hell? Why haven't I seen from this person in forever? I wonder if they deleted their channel if they haven't posted a video. Lee Camp is a main example of that. I love Lee Camp stuff. If you haven't, check out Redacted Tonight. Great show. Lee Camp's a great person. But I hadn't seen his videos come up on my Facebook or my YouTube feed, and I was a little confused because they used to come up all the time. And of course now they're just like, I have to go find them. I have to go physically search for them. So I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching Mikasa Sukasa. I am your host, Niko House. If this is your first time watching, please hit that subscribe button and help us on our road to 10,000 subscribers. It's been a hell of a journey. I mean, just last year we only had like 1,000. I mean, and it was hard. We had to scrap and scrape for those 1,000 subscribers, and now we've gotten over 5,000 in well, close to, no, excuse me, over 4,000, 4,500 in less than a year, which is pretty amazing. And it's really thanks to you guys. We've lost a lot along the way too, just because, like I said, not everybody can accept the truth, and I'm okay with that. I'm not here for for positive affirmation or reaffirmation of whatever you already believe. We're here for the objective and unmitigated truth and nothing more than that. Also, I want to urge you all to join our $1 follow, $1 campaign, where we show the mainstream media that we will not invest in them if they will not invest the truth. We will take that money and invest in those who will. You can do so by clicking on the Patreon link below and just donating $1 measly dollar. It may not be a lot to you, but it definitely is a lot to the show. It's how we've been able to grow so far, and I want to thank you all who are already part of that. So I want to go ahead and get started since YouTube finally has allowed me to. The other day, Jimmy Dore had on a gentleman named Peter Lavelle. Now, many of you may not know who Peter Lavelle is. Peter Lavelle is a reporter and a journalist from RT, Russia Today, except for he's not in RT America. He's actually on RT. He lives in Moscow. But he is an American-born journalist who used to work in Poland and now works for RT in Moscow. He is, full disclosure, a quote-unquote conservative. However, his conservatism is way different than modern American conservatism because he's been so far removed from the American political system that he hasn't really been corrupted by like the neoconservatism that we've seen practiced oftentimes in the States, which is a good thing. From my point of view, his analysis of really anything so far that I've heard him talk about, but the Russiagate situation, the Hillary Clinton situation, he always comes, which is very similar to what I like to do, but he always talks in inquisition, as in, he's like, okay, so if you're going to claim this, well, what about these facts out here? That's all I want to talk about. What about these facts? He obviously he asserts some things, but like for the most part, he uses the Socratic method, and allows people to come to their own conclusions. And so Jimmy Dore had him on, and it was an amazing show. I'm definitely gonna post the link to that show in the comment section below, or excuse me, in the description below. And because I urge you all to watch, because I'm not gonna be able to cover everything that was in the show, but a couple of huge points that stood out to me. So one of the main things that he discussed was obviously the Russiagate situation. He kind of reiterated, he was laughing. He was like, it's almost funny because, you know, you live in Russia and you're an American, but you live in Russia, but you've been on the reporting side of America and you've been on the reporting side in Russia. And from where he's at, he's like, it's laughable the way people are eating up the Russiagate story, especially based off of a fake dossier. He was actually talking about how some of the people that Christopher Steele talked to in order to get the information of the in the dossier, he didn't know those people. He actually did not know who they were. He didn't, when I say he didn't know, like he knew them, but what he actually said, he claimed that, I use my Russian context. What he did was call a bunch of important people and say, I'll offer you money if you give me information about Donald Trump. That was it. Well, listen, Chris, you give me a call with $2-3 million, I could come up with some information about Donald Trump. I'll be like, listen, I know the plastic surgeon who did his cheekbones, man. I you know what I'm saying? I know some people who live in the Trump hotel that might have cheated on their wives one time, and it was at the Trump hotel. You know what I'm saying? If you give me $4 million, I can come up with a lot of things about Donald Trump. I promise you. But that's not the point. The point is that some of these contacts Peter Lavelle actually knows personally because of just him being by virtue of just working at RT and being well known by the political elite there in the corporate world and in the Kremlin. He like knows a lot of people there. It happens when you live in Moscow for 15 years. But those people literally just gave him a bunch of information totally unverified. Now people might want to say, Well, how do we know this guy isn't a Russian bot? How do we know he's being honest? Well, the odds of him being honest are a little bit higher than the odds of the establishment being honest. And here's why. Everything that the establishment has said about the dossier has gone unproven, unconfirmed. Not only is it gone unproven and unconfirmed, but it's actually they're being sued right now. BuzzFeed is being sued for putting out that dossier. Christopher Steele is being investigated for putting together that dossier. Fusion GPS, just for being merely involved in the dossier, is being investigated. People related to anybody who was working at Fusion GPS is being investigated, and nobody has been able to provide any information. If you've read through any of the transcripts, nobody has even been able to provide information. So the odds probably are that Peter Lavelle is telling the truth and the establishment isn't. Can you believe it? And he went on to actually give other examples of how America has twisted and turned and churned narratives for the benefit of their elitist agenda, their imperialist agenda. He used the example of Ukraine. Now, I know you all remember the Ukraine scare, right? I mean, it wasn't but maybe 2-3 years ago. We put troops on the border of Ukraine. We were coming up with every excuse as to why we need to be in Ukraine. But it was kind of like a really weird scenario, right? It was a really weird thing because even then, and I was pretty politically aware back then, I was like, okay, Russia just one day decided we want Ukraine back. Why now? What was it that made Russia decide right then and there was the time to invade Ukraine? Well, they didn't tell the whole story. The United States did not tell the whole story. So here's what actually happened. And once again, I hope that you all watched the video with Jimmy Dore and Peter Lavelle if you did not, because it's extremely informative. But Peter Lavelle gives it, because he was actually there, he gives a good breakdown of what was going on. So the Ukraine made a deal with the EU to import cheaper goods into the area. This was going to actually block out and blackball Russia, because they would not be able to compete economically if the Ukraine did this. Now, the Ukraine did this not because they wanted cheaper goods for their community, but because oligarchs run Ukraine, or at least they ran Ukraine at that time. They're greedy. That's the moral of the story. They're greedy. Russia actually tried to, and that actually is true. I went to go do some research on that, and he was telling the truth. Russia tried to negotiate with Ukraine. Russia tried to negotiate with the oligarchs. But they ignored those negotiations. Now, why on earth, in my opinion, of course Russia's going to be pissed if you're going out of your way to blackball my country by working with the EU, while the EU consistently tries to not work with Russia, given their relationship, their troublesome relationship because of the Cold War. The EU goes out of its way to not work with Russia. Now, the United States got involved. What a surprise. Why? Because, well, at that point and still at this point, China pretty much has us by the balls, right? In every sense of the word. We were working with China and the Ukraine and the EU to import these cheaper goods into the Ukraine, in the area in general. So after Russia tried to work with the EU, they tried to work with the Ukraine, they tried to work with the United States. Not only did we continue, but we put our foot down and pretty much was like, no, we're going to do this. And if you have something to say about it, we're going to fight you. Of course, at that point, Russia's like, Well, I'm not going to have my economy collapse over this. So yes, we're going to have to invade that area of the Ukraine. We're going to put troops on the border to let them know that we are serious about defending our national interests. I don't think that's a pretty, like, doing military exercises on their own border, we consider for some reason an act of war. We do military exercises in Afghanistan, Iraq, Yemen, Libya, Nigeria, Chad, Venezuela. Am I missing anybody? We literally put, oh, Turkey, Syria, if I didn't say that. Nobody flinches. But Russia moves troops to their border, and what happened? They act like the world was coming to an end. But the reason why we recognize whenever Russia moved troops to that border when it was involving Ukraine was because we had direct financial interests in Ukraine, as usual. It seems to be the only time we care about defending people. Just like we're about to go in, and we literally, everybody in the world knows the war in Syria is over. They're trying to use the excuse. It's just another example. They're trying to use the excuse that, well, ISIS will come back if we don't go into Syria. Excuse me, young buck. ISIS left when we left. ISIS was defeated when we left. Matter of fact, I'm a little bit confused. I'm a little bit confuzzled. We weren't in Syria. We were just sending bombs, according to them, according to the official narrative. We did not have troops on ground in Syria. It wasn't like Iraq. We literally worked for 10 years to destabilize Iraq. But now we're going to put troops indefinitely in Syria. And they've made it very clear that they are going to put a conscious effort into dethroning Assad and initiating regime change after the war is over, after ISIS has been defeated. The oligarchs have pretty much, the elite, the oligarchs, the political establishment has made it perfectly clear. They don't give a damn about what's right and wrong. We did the same thing. They don't give a damn about peace. They don't want peace in the region. That's the total opposite of what they want. We did the same thing in Libya, which Peter Lavelle points out as well. A lot of people don't know this. From late 80s through the 90s, we had been trying to dethrone Gaddafi. A lot of people also don't know that Gaddafi, while he was leader of the AU, the African Union, agreed to step down from his position of power to keep the West out of Africa. Guess what we did anyway? We assassinated him. We didn't only go after Saddam Hussein once, remember? We couldn't get him like we wanted to the first time, so we had to go after him again the second time. It seems to be a pretty consistent pattern that the United States is only going to attack those, even if they are innocent, even if they are rightfully elected. We'll never go after the dictators who are on our side. We don't even go after Kim Jong-un. All of a sudden, we care so much about what's going on when it comes to dictators and how they treat their people that we totally ignore everything Kim Jong-un is doing. It makes total and complete sense. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. So Peter Lavelle definitely offers a very, very unique perspective on the Russiagate situation. I definitely, like I said, I'm going to post that video in the, matter of fact, let me see if I can do that right now. Give me a second. I'm going to post that video in the comment section, or excuse me, in the description, and I urge you all to go watch it. It's about 20 to 30 minutes long. And I want to also I want to praise Jimmy Dore really fast, because I feel like he doesn't get enough praise sometimes. I think people love him, but I love Jimmy Dore because he has people on his show that I'm like, I couldn't believe he brought Peter Lavelle on. I mean, you got to think, man. Peter Lavelle works directly in Moscow. He does. Peter Lavelle works directly in Moscow. He knows Putin personally, that could get him into a lot of trouble. However, Jimmy Dore, in all of his altruism, decided, hey, they deserve to have their side heard just as much as we deserve to have our side heard, and the establishment deserves to have their side heard. Now, conversely, he also has people on that I don't like. Like, I don't like when he has no Miki on for her to spew her like pro-democrat propaganda, like her naive nonsense. But it doesn't matter, because just because I don't like her doesn't mean that we shouldn't hear that perspective so that we can give an honest and truthful analysis. And we don't have enough of that, in my opinion, with very popular independent journalists. A lot of people will only have one side or the other on. So I do commend Jimmy Dore for that. So with that being said, I am going to take a brief hiatus, and I'm going to post the video in the description, and I urge you all to watch that sometime in the near future, because it is freaking awesome. I see Danny said that you had to resubscribe. I'm telling you, people, it happens more often than you would think. It really does. Like I said, the videos that I've been posting, anything that's been regarding Syria, ooh, no, they don't want that. They don't want to talk about that. That Syria shit is, whoo, y'all. Tillerson, literally during the shutdown. Matter of fact, go watch the video. Go watch the video. Subscribe. Go watch the video. Let me know what you think. With that being said, always remember, people, find your balance. Peace.